welcome back to Painting with Mr. Bates. I've got my palette on my canvas all laid out here, ready to go tonight. I'm working on hopefully a waterfall scene. Thank you, Brett Day, for the idea. It's nothing like yours, and I'm sure it won't be nowhere near as good as yours. This is done with acrylic paints, though, versus oil paints. So I've got everything laid out. I'm going with a little bit brighter blue sky area here. And this area here has been covered with I first put on the gloss white, the medium, applied it to the entire canvas, and then I came back and overlaid it with a black, and this is actually the permanent black color. Overlaid that with the permanent black that had a little bit of the gloss medium mixed in it, and then I went back and still my sky. It's a mixture of a light blue, a lake blue, and a titanium white with a blend of the medium in it as well. I'm going to come back here shortly and we'll apply a few clouds up in this area, and then we're going to start with a nice mountain scene and hopefully work into a waterfall. So this was going to be my first big waterfall attempt. Again, thank you, Brett Day, for the idea. I love watching his videos. Gets me some ideas. So hopefully he'll give me some good feedback on what he thinks and whether or not it's a good one. And again, this is done with acrylics. Acrylics are a little bit different than working with your oil paints. Oil paints blend a lot easier, a lot smoother. The colors are more vibrant than what I have with the acrylics. The acrylics dry very quickly. I haven't been but maybe 30 minutes done this one, and it's already pretty much dry to the touch here. So it's ready to go, primed and ready. I'm using a 16 by 20 canvas tonight. This is a triple prime canvas. So let's get painting. All right, so we have our palette laid out. I've got the gloss medium on here that I'm going to be using to kind of help with blending some of our colors. So I've just got it off to the side for easy use. We have our titanium white, bright green, lake blue, grass green. Here we have the phthalo green, burnt sienna, and our Rains gray. That's going to be most of the colors I'm going to be using for right now. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to go straight into the titanium white with just a little bit of the medium. Get my brush loaded up. Alright, and I'm just going to come in and decide where I want my clouds to come in from. So I think I'm going to start maybe right in this area here. I'm just going to, just as I always do, just a tapping. But using the corner of the brush, it's going to be maybe a nice little long cloud here. And it fades off as it comes across. Alright, and then I'm going to come back and I'm going to grab my 2-inch brush, and we're just gonna, just like in the others, just kind of lightly go over it. And again, with the acrylics, it's not as easy to blend. You can blend, and I don't have a lot of the medium in this. If I had more of the medium in it, it would blend a lot more. With that, I'm going to grab just a touch of the medium. Grab just a touch of the medium here. And just kind of tap in. Go back with my 2-inch brush. And this medium will actually dry clear. Blending it in with this titanium white that's already on here, we should see a little bit of blending going. So and again, I'm not going to put, I don't want a lot of clouds in this, but I will go back and add maybe just another touch. Maybe we've got just a little small guy floating right over here. our 2-inch. Just barely touch the top of that. Just like before, just barely. Go back and forth just like that. Alright, we've got our clouds, and that's all the clouds I want to put in it. I don't want to put a lot of clouds in there tonight, like I usually do. Rinse these brushes off really quick. It'd be nice if I had a nice studio out here where I could just slap these brushes around, but unfortunately I don't. Alright, so we've got our clouds laid out. That's the main part that I wanted to work on. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to decide, I want to do a mountain scene, but I'm not sure if I want to do the same mountain scenes that I've been doing. I'm going to apply my mountain scene somewhere right around this area, and then we're going to work into where we're going to have some greenery, maybe some grass and trees, and like a running stream coming down into a waterfall, I hope. So we'll be right back. I'm going to go clean off these brushes and see what I can get done with this. I'll be right back. Okay. I've mixed up a little bit of the Rains Gray, a little bit of the titanium white, mixed it up here, left it kind of a marbling to it. I'm going to take our palette knife. Now, I said I've got this idea from my friend Brett Day on Facebook, who has Painting with Brett on YouTube, Painting with Brett Day on YouTube. He does awesome jobs. He's really inspired both Cody and I to get back into painting. And watching him, I've learned a lot of techniques, and I'm hoping I'm able to put those techniques into my acrylics and be able to share those ideas with the acrylics out to you guys. Now, I don't want to copy his. I don't want to do that. I want to make this my own painting. I like his idea. I like the layout and everything, but I want to make this my painting. So I'm going to change up on the mountain design just a little bit. I think I'm going to stick with the mountains that I'm more comfortable with doing. I may try to tweak it a little bit and add a little bit to it. But we're going to start off as usual with our palette knife, and I'm just going to cut across, get a nice bead on my palette knife. And I'm going to figure out where I want the mountain to start. And I think it's going to be a nice tall mountain right in here. Just like so. Maybe just like that. I'm going to grab a little bit more of the titanium white. Just go right here on the top edge and just going to pull down. I'm going to go back into my mixture here. And maybe we've got another little peak right here. It's going to come down just like so. Like I said, mountains are not my specialty right now. I'm still working on doing those mountains and everything, but you can do mountains any way you want to do them. You can do a mountain scene that's done by brush, and you can easily do mountains with a brush, especially in acrylics. You could do it in oil painting as well. The palette knife, I really like using a palette knife because, in all honesty, it just gives you more control to work on your design and how you want it to go. You just work on your design, your idea, as to how you want it to look. And as you get into it, you'll start to come up with your own designs and your own thoughts on how it should look. Until you get to the point, and I'm just coming back and I'm darkening up some of the pieces in the front by doing, and we're doing that. I'm basically just grabbing some of the Rains Gray by itself, and I still have some of the other paint on the palette knife, so that's giving me a little bit of blending there, get that marbling effect, and then we're able to move in. All right. Now, this doesn't necessarily have to be one of the big snow covered scenes. It can be, but it doesn't have to be. Now I'm going kind of thick with my paint here, I want to keep that textured appearance. I want to keep that rugged look or that earthy tone to it. I want to give it, like I said in one of my last videos that we did, I want to give it some pop. I want to give it some life and make it come to life. So I think that's what I'm going to go with right there. I'm going to keep it basically in this design right here. I'm not even going to add any. I don't even think I'm going to add any snow to this, because I'm going to come in. I'm going to fill all of this in. I'm going to come back and kind of darken this little section right here up a little bit. I'm going to take that right there, and I'm going to place my palette knife right over here for now. I'm going to go in here and I'm going to grab my 2-inch brush. Get it kind of dry, not super dry. And I'm just going to lightly mist with our water, just a few drops. I'm going to give it just a second to sit there. I don't want to pull it yet. And I'm going to go in and I'm going to just start pulling down. Maybe to give the indication of some mist, of some fog up in the here. I'm just going to kind of pull up, give that misty effect. Just like so. My brush isn't even really dirty. I'm just going to use my smock here, my apron, just to kind of dry it off. Alright. So I'm going to give that just a second to dry. And then when I come back, we're going to look at laying out some of our greenery around the sides, putting in the trees, the grass, the shrubbery, and then start working on our water coming down. So we'll be right back. Alright guys, welcome back. I've given this time to dry a little bit, and it's still not completely hard dry, but it's dry enough that I can come in and do what I want to do. And again, I'm going to come back. I said I wasn't going to put a lot of snow on this, but I think I want to come back and just give a little indication of some snow. Again, I don't want to completely copy my friend Brett Day. I love what he done. He done a great job. I don't want to completely copy his painting, but I love the idea of it. And I just said it was a challenge, something I really want to try it with acrylic, and be able to share with you how to do this in acrylic. So again, I want to thank Brett Day's Paint with Brett on YouTube. He just has really inspired us, and I've learned a lot from him, from his oil paintings, and taking the lessons from the oil paintings, and I'm bringing them into the acrylics. And then I'm sharing with you on the acrylics on ways that you can do similar paintings or similar techniques in acrylic painting. I don't know if you can see very well on the camera here, but the way I did my mountain scene here, this is actually kind of raised. There's some ridges to this. It's not a flat painting. It's a very rough, very rigid painting here. I'm going to come in and I'm going to grab some titanium white. It's okay if a little bit of that Range gray stays in it. I'm going to get just a touch of the gloss medium in that. And I'm going to come back, I'm going to catch this side right up here. Just like that. Grab a little bit more. Now I'm going to come off of this little peak here and pull down. Just like this. Again, I'm going to grab right here. Grab just a little bit more paint. Just right here. And pull down. Then we'll come up here and just I'm going to use the top edge just so I can go in here and grab this, and then same thing, just kind of pull down, and then the same thing here, just kind of pull down. Until we have our paint put on just the way we want it. want to keep those breaks in it, just as you see here. I'm doing that by starting at the top edge, just like I said before, and then just letting the knife come down. Start at the top edge, let the knife come down, and just, as I come down, just going to drag. All right. Again, each painting is different depending on what you want it to be, what you want it to appear and look like. Maybe we'll have just some spotting of snow coming off the sides over here. All right. I like that. I think I'm going to stick with what I have here. I'll move my canvas a little bit. That's okay. Pull it back around. All right. Got that going there. Now we're going to come in and we're going to start working our tree line right in here. So I'm going to take my palette knife and place it right over here. Actually, I'm going to grab some paper towel to wipe it off before the paint dries on it. Keeping some paper towel handy. Palette knife is really simple. Just wipe it off. Probably the easiest painting tool to clean. That's the reason I like using it so much. I'm just going to toss it right over there because I don't need it right now. Alright, I grabbed my 1/2 inch angle brush here. I'm going to use it to apply my tree line right in here. And to do this, I'm going to use the grass green and maybe just a little touch of the phthalo green mixed together. So I'll start off with the phthalo green. Mix those two together, maybe a little bit more of the phthalo. And I'm going to go over here and I'm going to grab just a touch of that gloss medium. So I get a little bit of flow to it, a little bit of transparency. I don't want a lot of transparency. I'll load my brush up. And then I'm going to come in and I'm just going to basically decide where I want some trees. I'm just going to kind of, again, with the tapping, just kind of off in the distance here. As I come across that right there, I'm going to add a little more of the phthalo green. I want it to be kind of dark in the back. You hear my painting partner over here doing his painting. He can be a noisy artist at times. This is going to be off in the distance. There's really no detail to this. And grab my number 8 flat brush here, my favorite tapping brush. That's my favorite brush to tap with. Just along the bottom portion of this, just going to tap it in just like this. Layering in some different colors from light to dark. Again, to give us that depth or that dimension to it. So I'm going to step back. I'm going to take a look at this. I want to give that time just to dry just a little bit, because I want to come back. I want to add some trees into this section here and get some ideas of what else I want to do along my skyline here. I may come back in and touch up along this section here, take my skyline out a little bit further. I'm not really sure yet, or I may decide to, take me some trees coming off the side up into this area. So I'll be right back. All right, I'm back. And this time I'm going to grab my fan brush here. And I'm going to grab some of the lake blue. Just a touch of the titanium white. I'm going to put a little bit of that gloss medium in there. Give it some flow. Alright, now here's my bravery test, guys. I'm going to come in. Now, my waterfall feature, water's going to be coming down this way. So I want my water coming over and then down. So basically, I'm going to kind of start right in here. Now, if you see, I came back and I have that burnt sienna that I put on to give us a basically an earthy tone. And then I came back and I went back over it again with that Rains Gray and blended back out, but I let some of those other colors bleed through. But we're going to start right back over in here and just kind of come across just like so. Again, this is my bravery test. All right. Get a little bit more of that color on the brush. Get a little bit more of that gloss medium because I want this to flow. I want to be able to just kind of pull over. Pull over and down. Just like so. Grab a little bit more of that lake blue. I want to get a little bit more of this, a good bit of this medium in here this time. I just want a hard flow. Almost want like a 90-degree drop. It doesn't have to be a perfectly straight edge, but I want that drop coming through there. And now I'm going to come back and I'm going to grab my 1.5 inches once again. And I'm going to come back into the bright green, a little bit of the grass green. And now we're just going to take my other fan brush, grab a little bit more of this blue mixture. I got a little excited there and went further back than what I wanted to, but that's okay because that's going to allow some of that color to bleed through. say, waterfalls, something new to my arsenal of paintings. And doing it with acrylics to get that flow that I want. I really should be doing this with an oil painting, but I want to show you can do things like this with acrylics. It just takes a little practice finding what works best for each of you, for each painter. What is the best thing for you? Alright, I'm going to give that just a second to dry, and I'm going to clean off my brushes here. And I need to reload my palette. Got a couple of colors that I'm running low on. Need to reload them. I'm going to give this just a second to dry. And we're going to come back. And guys, like I said, don't be afraid to try something new. I'm attempting something new. Cody wants me to do some for him as well. He's picked out a few waterfall features that he wants me to try. So this is a good practice one because it's got some detail to it. It's going to give me some good practice to move into some more waterfall features. And as I grow and learn and find new techniques and new ways to do things, of course I'll share it with you. Get out there. Don't be afraid to try. Painting can be fun. It can be it can be very relaxing. So we're going to let this dry, let this part of the water here dry, and then I'm going to come back and I'm going to start putting in my layers, my different colors. So I'm going to put in some whites. I'm going to bring in some more of the burnt sienna, maybe a little bit more of the Rains gray, some greens. We're going to start layering in our trees and start working in until we get down to, I'm going to add a basin area down at the bottom of the painting. So don't be afraid to experiment. Like I said in the last video, they say every painting goes through its ugly stage. I'm going to call this my ugly stage of the painting here. And let's hope that our ugly duckling can grow into a wonderful swan of a painting. Alright guys, I've allowed this to dry a little bit. Now it's still just a little tacky, as you can see when I touch it there. That's okay, because I'm not really going on to that right yet. I will be. I'm going to come in here though, and I'm going to start layering in some different colors. I'm going to come straight into my bright green. And I'm going to grab a good little spot of that gloss medium. It makes me maybe a little bit more of that gloss medium. That does several things. It helps to paint the flow, and it gives it a glossy effect. I've changed that. I went to my 1-inch brush, and I'm just going to kind of come across here. I'm going to kind of start bringing, as you see, I'm kind of rounding it over to give the effect of it going kind of downhill here. Brush some of this on, and I'll come back and give it some texture, just like so. Tap, 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 tap. I love tapping. Alright. I'm done with that 1-inch brush. I'm going to go back and I'm going to grab my 1.5 inch. It's got a wider bristle on it. And I'm just going to come right back over that. And now I'm going to come up and I'm going to grab some phthalo green, just phthalo green by itself. And I'm going to come right along here. I want to kind of darken up this background because I want the foreground to really stand out. I grab a little bit of that gloss medium to go in it. Kind of going over that bright green. All right, now I'm going to go back and I'm going to grab my fan brush. And I'm going to come over here and I'm going to grab some titanium white. I'm going to get a nice little mixture of the titanium white. I'm going to grab some of the gloss medium. And then I'm going to come over here and grab some burnt sienna. Mix those together. And I may put just a touch of the range gray in there. A touch more. And we'll come in right here and just kind of just like so. I'm just kind of tapping it in, following along the water line here, and then just a quick drop. Just a quick 90-degree drop. Just like this. Alright. I'm going to come over here and we'll take a look at it. We'll step back and get an idea of what I want to put in next. Doing different things. I'm going to add maybe some rocks in. Not quite sure yet exactly how I want to do that, where I want to put them. I'm going to come back in. I may do this while I'm at break and allowing some of my other things to dry and getting the idea. I'm going to come back in. I'm going to fill in this area here a little bit more with the greenery. Maybe even some stones in there and see what I can come up with, but I'll be right back. Don't go anywhere. And let's enjoy some great painting with acrylics. All right, welcome back. I went in and I've taken and I've added a lot more greenery into this area here and down coming in. I'm bringing down. I haven't filled in my basin area yet. I'll come back in just a few minutes. We'll add all that. Right now I'm going to come in and I'm going to decide where I'm going to put my trees. So I know I'm going to come over here and over here with some trees. And we're going to work in a couple of trees, possibly coming, I may come all the way down, I'm not sure yet. We're going to go with this, but When I go back in, I still have my main colors in, still have my almost a liquid white again. I have my gloss medium over here, which works similar to a liquid white. It helps to tone down the paint, or not tone down, but helps to loosen up the paint, make it flow a little bit better. I'm going to come in, I'm going to use a little bit of that gloss medium here, and I'm going to use a phthalo green and maybe a little bit of the grass green mixed together to come in to lay in my trees. So those are the main colors I'm going to use. And I may actually use a little bit of the burnt sienna in that as well. But right now I'm going to work in. I'm going to first grab just some gloss medium, a nice little group of it there. And then I'm going to come over here and grab some of this phthalo green, and I'm just going to mix the two together. I want this to have a nice flow to it and almost a transparency. You see, it really doesn't do anything to the color. It just gives it some transparency and some gloss. So, loading up my fan brush, and we're going to come in and decide where we're going to put a tree at. So I think I'm going to have maybe one tree. Maybe I've got one coming off. Maybe I've got one coming off right here. And I'm doing a lot of wraparound painting, so I'm going to make sure that I come over and take it around to the side here. Just using the corner of my fan brush. Also, we have a nice little tree living right about there. Alright, I'm going to go back in. I'm going to grab a little bit of that phthalo green mixture, and I'm going to put in a little bit of this burnt sienna mixture over here. Again, I'm going to load up my brush, and we're going to come right here. Let me take a little bit of that paint off the brush. Maybe we're going to come right in here and just maybe right here, right about there. A nice little evergreen back in the back here. Kind of off in the distance, kind of faint, can't see it very well, but it's there. Alright, I'm going to grab some of my Rains Gray, and let's give the indication of a tree trunk here. Same thing here. I'm just going to go right on the corner of my canvas for that trunk. Alright, maybe we've got a little line here. Maybe we got some twigs going off over into here. Alright, now I'm going to go back into my green mixture. I'm going to grab a little bit of that, grab a little bit of this grass green over here and add into it. Load my brush up, then we're going to come over here, and maybe we've got one Oh, right about here. And again, just using the corner of my fan brush. And as I come down, I can use a little bit more pressure. Just like this. All right. All right, I'm going to come back in. I'm going to take this brush and put it over here and let it wash. I'm going to go over here and I'm going to grab I went right here and I grabbed my 1/4-inch angle brush and also put on a little bit more of the gloss. And I'm going to bring it right here. I'm going to grab some of the titanium white. Getting a nice little light color here. Again, I'm using my 1/4-inch angle brush. And we're going to come in here and I'm basically just taking my brush and just kind of doing like a half circle. And going in with the layers the way I'm doing it and using this gloss medium, the paint is not drying as fast as it would normally dry. Usually using the acrylics, this would already be really dry, and to the point where I can just go right over it. But using the gloss medium, it's actually slowing down my dry time a little bit, so it's leaving a really tacky texture here to it. So going over it, I gotta make sure that my paint that I'm using is really smooth, so that that medium is really helping. I'll come right here. Maybe there's one leaving right about here. You see that gloss medium just kind of makes it come right off. And maybe there's a couple of big ones down here at the bottom near the basin. All right. I'm going to rinse off this brush here. I'm going to keep using the same brush. I'll stick with that angle brush there. Grab a little bit of the titanium white. And just kind of Alright guys, welcome back. While I was waiting on all of this up here to dry, I went ahead and came in and put some of the final touches to it. Now to basically explain what I did is I used one of my flat brushes. This is a number 6, is one of the main ones I used. And the colors I used was the phthalo green, the grass green, and the bright green. Those are the 3 main colors that I used. And I just came in, and this is kind of a mossy type area coming down, just a flat grassy area coming down off the side of the hill or the side of the cliff here. And then it just, my tapping motion just tapped in layers of the different colors to give some indications of like shrubbery and bushes, things like that. Just kind of filled it in. Then I came in with the lake blue, a little bit of mixture of lake blue, titanium white, and the gloss medium, and just filled in my basin here. And then after I painted in the water scene. Just again came back over with the brush and just tapped in the brush, the shrubbery and everything like that going across. But what I want to do now is I'm done with that brush, and I want to grab, I think I'm going to look back here and I'm going to grab, I may actually go ahead and use my 2-inch brush. No, actually I'm going to use a 1.5-inch brush. I couldn't decide if I want to use a 2-inch or 1.5-inch. I'm going to grab my 1.5-inch brush, and I'm just going to grab just a little bit of the gloss medium, a little bit of the titanium white. Just get it. I'm just using just the corner of the brush. Just grab the corner there, and then I'm just going to come in and just tap. That's all I'm doing, just tapping. Get an indication of that area there. Alright, I'm done with that brush. I'm going to place it back in there. And I'm going to go back and I'm going to grab my fan brush. Rinse it off here. And again, I'm just going to use my fan brush here. Take my fan brush, I just washed it off and dried it a little bit on the paper towel. And of course, my painter's smock, my apron here, comes in handy. And again, I'm going to grab just a little bit of that liquid white. Touch with the gloss medium. And we're just going to doesn't have to be a lot. There we go. All right. Now we're going to come in. I have a number 1 round brush. I have on my palette that I've cleaned, I added some more of the Rains Gray, and I'm also going to grab some of this gloss here, some of the gloss medium, not a lot, just enough so that I can get a pretty good flow. A little bit more, just enough that I can get a good flow with my paint. Because remember, like I said earlier, it's still kind of tacky. And we're just gonna, maybe off to the side here, we got just a indication of some, just a small branches right in here. Nothing big, nothing major. Maybe there's one popping up right here. Don't want to put a lot because I want more of the color to come on this, but you know, in nature you see a lot of this. You see some branches coming out like this. Just going to throw some of those in there. I'm going to grab some more of this gloss. I want to get this kind of nice and flowy here. And you know what I have to have. I've got to have a bird or two. And this is flowing pretty good. Grab a little bit more. And we're going to come up here, way off in the distance up here. Just the indication. Maybe I think I'm going to change brushes and get a little smaller one. There we go. Get us a little bit smaller brush here. And just roll it. And maybe we got one right in here. Maybe another one over here on this side. Off in the distance, can't hardly see them. Maybe we've got one coming right across the mountain. Just like so. Like I said, I've got to have my birds, you know that. All my paintings have got to have some birds in it. Just call that we'll call that my signature part of my paintings, my mark. We've got one right here. And maybe just one more. I'm going to put a lot in this one. Maybe one more. Right here, coming a little bit closer. Alright. And I think we're going to call this painting finished. And to finish it off, we need to put our signature. Grab some more of the paint here. Get it on my brush. And I think I'm going to sign it. I'm going to sign it right in here. And there we go. We're going to call this painting finished. There's my palette right over there. I hope you enjoyed this. Just to quickly go over again some of the things that we did. The mountains. This is the first time I've done a layered type mountain to where I've got them coming out in front. So it's the first time I've done mountains like that. So I'm rather pleased with the way those mountains turned out. In here we have a mixture of greens. We used phthalo green, we used bright green, we used grass green. A little bit here with the trees here, a mixture of the titanium white, the phthalo green, again the grass green, and a little bit of burnt sienna. Most of this area here, the darker colors that you see, are in with the phthalo green and the grass green. The bright green used for the grassy area here. The black and the grays that you see came in with the Rains gray. We used lake blue. And of course our gloss medium that we used. To get the effect of the waterfall, just kind of came in from the side. And as I came in and got to my edge of my cliff here, and then we have a cliff on this side, cliff on that side. Coming off of this cliff over here, the waterfall area basically is just the water coming in from the side. And then as we get right here, just almost a 90 degree drop straight down. And then our basin area went with a lighter color blue. We used the titanium white to get the mist effect, a little bit of the titanium white to get the flowing water effect. And of course, my birds, our sky, very similar to most of our other paintings. So I hope you've enjoyed this one. We're going to call this one the waterfall. And I hope you enjoyed it. Again, it's a 16 by 20 canvas that I used here. I'm actually pleased with the way this one turned out. Like I said, I've never done a waterfall to this extent before. I'm pleased with it. Again, acrylics, you just kind of have to work with them. You kind of have to play around with how they work. Play around with your consistency. Play around with your mixture, whether you use a medium or whether you use the water bottle tricks like we had before, to where you just take the water bottle and spray your canvas first, which works really well. As you've seen in other videos, we've done that. It works really well. I like that. I just started using the medium. I like it. It does give me a longer drying time on the paint. However, that shortens my work time if I want to layer, because I have to come back in and give it a longer time to dry in order to come in and add my layers. Unlike using the oil paints to where everything blends well and flows well while it's still wet. But we're going to call this one finished. I hope you enjoyed it. Don't be afraid to practice. Don't be afraid to try, experiment, come up with your own things. Like I said, I get most of my canvases from Hobby Lobby. Most of my paint supplies comes from Hobby Lobby, so I get some great deals there. Of course, you can get them at Walmart. Most of your Walmarts carry canvases. I get them in 2-packs. On my 16, my 20s run around $7.99 for a pack of 2, triple primed. I always try to get at least double or triple primed in my canvases. You can get the canvas boards; they work great. But don't be afraid to experiment, practice, and try. If you want to get into doing detailed paintings like this, to where you're going to get this texture, I would recommend getting a higher quality paint. You can use some of the craft style paints and doing your paintings, but you're going to have more of a two-dimensional style painting versus getting texture and everything. So, but some of the paints, of course, you can use. I've showed you what I had. This is my favorite, and this is the smaller tubes. This here is the Master's Touch brand. It's a really good paint. This is the Master's Touch. It works really well, and it has a very good flow to it. It's a thick paint. And Cody, if you hand me that, this is the craft paint that you can get in the craft section at most stores. These run about 50 cents per bottle, depending on where you go. These come from Walmart, so these run about 50 cents each. They're great to practice with until you get the hang of it. This is really what I started working with when I did my abstract style paintings. They work great. Okay, look at that. But if you're going to do this style painting to where you're going to be using higher quality tools such as a palette knife, I definitely recommend you getting a good quality paint. I get this at Hobby Lobby. A box of 18 of these. These are almost a 1 ounce tube. It's a little over 3/4 ounces tube. A box of 18 is about $14.99. You can get the larger tubes. I get those for like $3.99 each. You can get the larger tubes. They last a lot longer. I get maybe 4 paintings out of one of these tubes, depending on how many of the colors that I use. Naturally, I use a lot of the titanium white in my paintings of the greens and everything. But don't be afraid to experiment. Don't be afraid to try new things. And I hope you enjoy your painting. I hope you enjoy painting with Mr. Bates. Until next time, happy painting.